Mind Gym: Sports Quotes and Stories of Self-Discipline. Written by Vance Avery. Narrated by Sam Slidell. Introduction. I already wrote another book about the mind of a real athlete, or ace athlete. But there is so much more to say about it that I had to put myself to the task and write more. The mind controls the body, and the body controls the mind. It's how it has always been. Why do some sports players perform better than others? Is it all talent? Definitely not. Is there some talent involved? Of course. But most, if not all, successful trainers, gymnasts, athletes, competitors, runners, or Olympians have shared this common trait. They train their mind and their body by putting hours and hours of conscious effort into it. I promise you that you won't feel the same way after reading this book. It is full of inspirational examples of people who pushed and fought to make it to excellence. Halls of fame, championships, medals, and victories. If you are serious about your body, your exercising program, or the sport you play, then you need the right mindset. These quotes and stories come from those who have already gone there, and by following in their footsteps, you can achieve similar results at your own progress level. Don't underestimate the power of the mind when it comes to controlling your body. Start reading in the first chapter and find out how you can go beyond the stagnant, steady pace you have been going at. Learn from the best and accelerate your success and performance by acquiring the determined, focused mind of a true athlete. Chapter 1. Made to Move. Despite the development of technology and the shift towards day jobs that require little physical effort on our part, desk jobs, office work, and an emphasis on knowledge, our bodies are not made to sit still. All of us have tremendous potential to show what we've got in an athletic way. I speak from experience. When I was young, I grew up in a soccer or football culture. I lived in Europe, and the main sport for boys was soccer. I joined a club after being pressured by some of my friends. I did okay at soccer, and I was definitely developing some talent. However, during my teenage years, I fell in love with the game of basketball. Despite the lack of coaches, examples, or cultural excitement about this sport, I still trained hard to get better at it. I spent hours and hours on outdoor courts, perfecting my shots, my layups, my dribbles, and my passes. I took almost every opportunity to join a group of teenagers who were about to play a pickup game. I set crazy goals like dribbling the ball for about 2,500 times without losing control, hitting 75% of 100 three-pointers, dribbling up and down from one city to the next, dribbling with 2 balls at the same time, playing basketball for 12 hours in one day. The last few hours were slow. Playing an average of 2 hours per day, etc. Guess what? I became the best player in high school with over 1,000 students. Sure, there were less fanatics than in an American high school, especially since most of the culture was focused on soccer, but it still took quite some skill to become the best player. You could argue that I was just talented. You could say that I just had a knack for ball sports. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. By the way, I am only 6 feet tall, not your average NBA player size. Putting all the nonsense aside, I know this. I see so many people around me that give up so easily, claiming that they just don't have any talent, while others spend hundreds of hours figuring out the best techniques, following their favorite athletes on the internet, and putting the hard work in to achieve results. It is never just talent. Everyone has to put in the work. Now, let's talk about some medical aspects and scientific sides of the human body. It has been medically proven that people who do regular physical activity have up to a 35% lower risk of coronary heart disease and stroke, up to a 50% lower risk of type 2 diabetes, up to a 50% lower risk of colon cancer, up to a 20% lower risk of breast cancer, a 30% lower risk of early death. Interesting, isn't it? Let's look at some other facts. Regular physical activity can reduce blood pressure in those with high blood pressure levels. Physical activity reduces body fat, which is associated with high blood pressure. Non-insulin dependent diabetes. By reducing body fat, physical activity can help to prevent and control this type of diabetes. Moreover, exercising reduces stress, kills the cortisol hormone, increases sexual performance and/or control, burns calories, and does so much more. Working up a sweat can help manage physical and mental stress. Exercise also increases concentrations of norepinephrine, a chemical that can moderate the brain's response to stress. Exercising boosts dopamine and endorphin levels and creates an overall feeling of calmness and happiness if done properly. It boosts self-confidence, and it makes us look more attractive. It helps to heal colds and improves the immune system. Did you know all that? Now, do you really think human beings are meant to sit still all day, watching TV or lying on the beach or something else? Laziness is attractive, but it is not good for us. So whether it's jumping with your kids on the trampoline, regular love-making sessions with your spouse, a ball game with your friends, a hike in the mountains, the occasional run or bike ride to the other side of town, working out in the gym, or swimming up and down in the swimming pool, you need to exercise. Chapter 2. Getting to the next level. Improving on ourselves is desirable. We would all like to become better at something. But how do we push ourselves or get pulled to the next level? Reasons. It is my personal opinion, and I think if you are a true athlete, you'll agree with me, that it is not enough to just work out every once in a while. This attitude focuses on the following idea. What is the least amount of effort I have to put into this in order to prevent 1. Becoming fat, 2. Getting medical problems, 3. Keep up with the team, 4. Only look good instead of really being in shape, 5. Qualify for a cheaper health insurance, 6. Score points and leave it at that, 7. Having to go on a diet. Let's break these down for a moment to see what is wrong about these attitudes. 1. Not becoming fat is not a bad motivation, but even if you aren't fat, there is something about being pulled to the next level and increasing your performance without changing your weight. The bare minimum to stay skinny is not good enough for someone who wants to maximize his or her talents. 2. Of course you should stay away from medical issues, but if you've been in good shape at a certain moment, you'll know that there are many people who don't have any medical problems, but they still underperform when it comes to sports, endurance, and athleticism. I remember I was in high school, and there were many geeks in my class who never worked out or played sports. They were usually on the computer all day. Also, not always a bad thing, but still, and even though they were skinny, they had a hard time running for more than 100 meters. They were out of shape, even though they didn't have any medical problems or obesity. Now, don't consider me to be an arrogant jock or something. I'm just trying to make a point. Some of those guys were good friends, and the only difference between them and me was that I played a lot of sports and they didn't. But the attitude was the beginning. They didn't care about physical exercise as much, and that's why they never reached their potential in that regard. 3. If you only want to keep up with the team, you're still in the bare minimum mindset. Sure, if the team you play for is very good, then try to have that pressure elevate your skills as well. But the true mindset should be to excel above how you perform. 4. Some people do it all for the looks, and I agree that this can motivate you in a certain way, but having a six-pack doesn't always mean strength, and looking nice in front of the ladies doesn't mean you participate in an athletic competition, especially if it's only the steroids and some weightlifting you've been doing. Looks are not everything. 5. Qualify for cheaper health insurance? Well, there are better ways to make or save money, buddy. Your focus shouldn't be on the money, not if you're a true athlete. 6. Scoring is important in a lot of sports. But then what? I play basketball regularly, and some of the guys I play with are excellent at shooting three-pointers. But man, are they out of shape. If you guard them well and prevent them from being able to shoot at all, which is easier because they aren't very fast, they are powerless. And what if you run a fast break? Seriously, it's not just about points, winning, or the precision and technique. True athleticism evolves around all those things and more. Endurance, willpower, perseverance, self-discipline, calmness of mind, focus, sharpness of the mind, and other qualities become part of your very character if you involve them in your sports activities. 7. Well, if you're just staying in shape to not be forced to go on a diet, guess what your focus is on? Food. Trust me, I love food. I love good food. Some of my best traveling memories include a giant steak, a traditional bakery, Thai curry dish, or an authentic Mexican burrito. Am I making you hungry yet? But as I became pickier about dishes, more financially free with money, and more aware of my nutrition, I also realized that there is more to life than food. There are so many people who live for food. They think about food. They snack all day. They talk about it a lot, and it seems like they've got nothing else on their minds. How pathetic is it to be an addict to those tiny taste buds on your tongue? Come on, we can do better than that. Food addiction, sugar addiction, fast food addiction, and so many other things related to this, they are real. Don't fall into this trap. There are so many more aspects of life to enjoy. Taste is only one of the 5 senses. I want to tell you a different story. I know someone who is pretty fanatic about martial arts. He has been a trainer for several years now, and he is doing very well. But there was a point in his life when he struggled with his health, and during this time, he also had other issues, which motivated him to go to a kung fu school in China for about 5 months. This is what he said. I remember the first day I came there, they were making us condition our shins and fists and elbows. I had to punch and kick against a tree. The Chinese trainers were harsh, and they had no mercy. All they cared about was results. No pain, no gain. If we refused, they would hit us with an iron stick on our legs and laugh. You could say they were sadistic, but all they were trying to do was toughen us up. One of the ways they pushed us to the next level was by having us run uphill. We were in a mountain area, and in the morning, we all had to jog to the top. One of the best things I learned there is to push myself a little harder when I hear that voice in my head that I can't go on any longer. That's the moment when you have to go on a little longer, because that's the moment you are reaching your limit. When you reach your limit, the only way to remove it is by going on at those critical moments. I was amazed by his story, and when I went running with him, this is exactly what we did. We ran for some time, and when he saw I had a hard time going on, he told me that this was the best moment to go on for a little longer. We often think that we reached our limit, he said. But if you really think about it, we just tell ourselves that because it is difficult. Let me ask you this. If someone gave you $1 million to run for another 15 minutes, would you do it? Of course. So that means there is still some strength in you. Well, what about 20 minutes or 30? At what point have you gone so far that you really have to give your body a rest? I realized when we talked that a lot of barriers to achieve more are mental, especially when it comes to physical exercise. When we work on a business, we may just require more knowledge or better strategies. When we want a better relationship, we may just have to shut up and listen more often or say the right words. When we try to finish a piece of art, our brain and our hands are the only things that will help us create something magnificent. But when we exercise, motivation matters a lot. Excuses. I just mentioned the inner voice in our heads, and this is part of it. I know, you might say that you never make excuses. Well, everyone does every once in a while. We all do it, and don't beat yourself up about it. Just change it. I remember one of my friends had a little fitness video. It was a series of daily 5 or 10 minute exercises, and it was intense. The movements consisted of jumping, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and a lot of uncomfortable, awkward positions and strength-enhancing exercises. One of my family members, who had had a knee injury in the previous years, and who also happen to love frequent milkshakes, chocolate bars, snacks, and steaks, joined us for a minute or two. After 2 minutes, he began to complain. "This is not good for my knee," he said. We both looked surprised. The exercises were not putting any strain on his knee. We knew it because we had both done it, and besides, I had had a similar knee injury and surgery and was doing fine. He kept complaining and quit after 2 or 3 minutes. I remember the feeling of pity I felt for this guy and the disgust for his weakness. He just made up an excuse because these intense exercises were too hard for him, and he didn't feel like getting tired. It was sad. There are so many excuses that we either tell ourselves, the voices in our heads, or that we hear others say. Do some of these sound familiar? "I am already old. My metabolism slowed down. Everyone is eating this. It can't be bad for me. I can't anymore. I just can't. This is too hard. I don't have to become a pro. I just want to have fun. I am not talented anyway. It has been too long. I have other priorities now. I got to watch out for my injury. I hate getting sweaty. It's too hot. People will judge me. It takes too much time. Some people are good at sports, but they are still jerks. It's all about the money. I would rather be smart than strong or fast." These lies are so dangerous because they are always based on a half-truth, but they are never completely true. Yes, you can go on a little longer, and no, it doesn't always matter if it's hot. You do have to be careful with your injuries, but that doesn't mean there aren't ways to work out. Training never takes a lot of time because it's best to do a little every day. And all the other nonsense I can think of, we use to justify our laziness. Rewards. Give yourself something as a reward. It's important that you do this to keep yourself going. Lying down on the couch, watching your favorite movie, or maybe even a little snack. But make sure you don't reward yourself too quickly. You have to earn it. I'm not going to expand on this too much because it's very simple. If you wanted to buy something, play a certain video game, or eat something, you have to earn it. If you do, you'll feel better about indulging yourself. Self-image. How do you look at yourself? The only way you can take your skills and endurance to the next level is by having a good self-image. This, however, is almost an oxymoron. You do your best, you push yourself to the limit, and your self-image will automatically become better. As your self-image becomes better, you can more confidently go at it and perform even better. It's a cycle, but you have to start by taking action. A word about arrogance, though. I've seen so many people who tend to get full of themselves when they become better, and it doesn't work in their favor. I have seen sports teams who thought they were all that, and then they were defeated by the underdog. You could always tell that their selfish style or their laziness on the field or the court prevented them from giving everything they had. Stay humble and be teachable. This is the only way to progress. People who think they know it all are often the first ones that fall. How can anyone say they are ever the best? I've seen countless athletes who would win a gold medal or championship in one year, only to be defeated by a competitor the next year. Even the ones who set records and excelled in their specific sport were often beaten by someone else a few years later. We all grow old and die. We all have fluctuating performances, and we all have weaknesses. Don't let your pride be your downfall. The best way to maintain a great self-image is to be humble, but willing to sacrifice and make progress. Be confident enough to know your past successes and abilities, the good moments that gave you tingly feelings inside, and at the same time, never think you are there. Enjoy the process as well as the results. Chapter 3. The 61 Motivational Sports Quotes. In this chapter, I will show you some of the most inspirational, best quotes from sports players. These people have, regardless of their personal lives, more about that later, excelled in their field and have paved the way for others to follow. 1. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan. 2. The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime. Babe Ruth. 3. Every day is a new opportunity. You can build on yesterday's success or put its failures behind and start over again. That's the way life is, with a new game every day. And that's the way baseball is. Bob Feller. 4. Sports are such a great teacher. I think of everything they've taught me: camaraderie, humility, how to resolve differences. Kobe Bryant. 5. Winners never quit, and quitters never win. Vince Lombardi. 6. Gold medals aren't really made of gold. They're made of sweat, determination, and a hard-to-find alloy called guts. Dan Gable. 7. Sports do not build character. They reveal it. Haywood Brown. 8. You can't put a limit on anything. The more you dream, the farther you get. Michael Phelps. 9. That's one thing you learn in sports. You don't give up. You fight to the finish. Louis Zamperini. 10. It's just a job. Grass grows, birds fly, waves pound the sand. I beat people up. Muhammad Ali. 11. Champions keep playing until they get it right. Billie Jean King. 12. A good hockey player plays where the puck is. A great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. Wayne Gretzky. 13. Just be patient. Let the game come to you. Don't rush. Be quick, but don't hurry. Earl Monroe. 14. To me, it doesn't matter how good you are. Sport is all about playing and competing. Whatever you do in cricket and in sport, enjoy it. Be positive and try to win. Ian Botham. 15. Apart from education, you need good health, and for that, you need to play sports. Kapil Dev. 16. You don't play against opponents. You play against the game of basketball. Bobby Knight. 17. The great thing coming from sports is you understand the concept of a team. It leaves no room for being selfish, and that's something I picked up from home. Michael Strahan. 18. Adversity causes some men to break, others to break records. William Arthur Ward. 19. These are my new shoes. They're good shoes. They won't make you rich like me. They won't make you rebound like me. They definitely won't make you handsome like me. They'll only make you have shoes like me. That's it. Charles Barkley. 20. Swimming is probably the ultimate of burnout sports. It's ironic because millions of people who swim as their regular exercise love the meditation aspect of it. You don't wind up with any orthopedic injuries. But when you swim at a world-class level for hours and hours, the loneness of the long-distance runner. Diana Nyad. 21. Serious sport has nothing to do with fair play. It is bound up with hatred, jealousy, boastfulness, disregard of all rules, and sadistic pleasure in witnessing violence. In other words, it is war, minus the shooting. George Orwell. 22. I'm one of these people that likes adrenaline and new things, like extreme sports. It makes me feel alive. Gisele Bundchen. 23. I was very fortunate to play sports. All the anger in me went out. I had to do what I had to do. If you stay angry all the time, then you really don't have a good life. Willie Mays. 24. Wrestling is ballet with violence. Jesse Ventura. 25. I think sports makes for good drama because it has all the same ingredients as anything worth reading or listening to or watching. Conflict, desire, heartbreak, it's all there. Jay Baruchel. 26. You always get a special kick on opening day, no matter how many you go through. You look forward to it like a birthday party when you're a kid. You think something wonderful is going to happen. Joe DiMaggio. 27. If a tie is like kissing your sister, losing is like kissing your grandmother with her teeth out. George Brett. 28. Life wasn't easy growing up. It was frustrating. If I had been a better reader, then that would have come easily. Sports would have come easily. Everything would have come easily. And I never would have realized that the way you get ahead in life is hard work. Caitlyn Jenner. 29. I think that in any group activity, whether it be business, sports, or family, there has to be leadership or it won't be successful. John Wooden. 30. One of the most basic factors in sports is that winning becomes a habit and losing is the same way. When failure starts to feel normal in your life, or your work, or even your darkest vices, you won't have to go looking for trouble because trouble will find you. Count on it. Hunter S. Thompson. 31. I am building a fire, and every day I train. I add more fuel. At just the right moment, I light the match. Mia Hamm. 32. Team sports are very important for shaping personalities. It's important that kids understand the mentality behind playing team sports and playing for one another and playing with friends. Brian O'Driscoll. 33. Play is the only way the highest intelligence of humankind can unfold. Joseph Chilton Pierce. 34. I'm a golfer, and what are the two sports you can do till you drop? Golf and surfing. They're great for you limber-wise, they're great for you health-wise, and they put you in sweet locations. Matthew McConaughey. 35. The paradox of endurance sports is that an athlete can never work as hard as he wants, because if he pushes himself too far, his hematocrit will fail. Malcolm Gladwell. 36. It doesn't matter if you win, as long as you give everything in your heart. Michael Jordan. 37. Honestly, I don't listen to nobody else's music but my own. It's kind of like sports to me. You don't see Kobe Bryant at a LeBron James game. He just works on his own game. And that's what I do. I only listen to me, so I can criticize and analyze and all those things. Lil Wayne. 38. You win some, lose some, and wreck some. Dale Earnhardt. 39. Olympism is the marriage of sport and culture. Juan Antonio Samaranch. 40. Approach the game with no preset agendas, and you'll probably come away surprised at your overall efforts. Phil Jackson. 41. Sports is the common denominator in the world that brings everyone together. If there's any one place in the world where there is equality, it is probably sports. That was something that didn't always exist. We've come a long way in sports. Why can't society use sports as a way to bring people together and create change? Stephen M. Ross. 42. Finding good players is easy. Getting them to play as a team is another story. Casey Stengel. 43. I love sports. I've played basketball, baseball, soccer, tennis, track and field growing up. Michael Jordan. 44. Perhaps the single most important element in mastering the techniques and tactics of racing is experience. But once you have the fundamentals, acquiring the experience is a matter of time. Greg LeMond. 45. God made me fast, and when I run, I feel His pleasure. Eric Liddell. 46. Regardless of the obstacles or hurdles that are ahead of you, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the odds, your goal and objective always is to win. I think that's part of sports. Grant Hill. 47. Compared to politics, I think sports is funnier because it's inconsequential. And politics can be real important and all that. The more pointless something is, the funnier it is, you know? Norm Macdonald. 48. For me, sports is a big part of my life. It helped me through high school. It helped me get better grades. Because if you don't have good grades, you can't play sports. David Charvet. 49. Sports teaches you there's always a second innings in life. If you fail today, there's a second innings maybe 2 days later. Maybe there's another opportunity coming 3 or 6 months later. If you look at mistake as learnings and commit never to make a same mistake again, then you actually get better with every mistake that you make. Harsha Bogle. 50. The Olympic Games must not be an end in itself. They must be a means of creating a vast program of physical education and sports competitions for all young people. Avery Brundage. 51. Sports nurtures dreams of achieving self-confidence and masculine striving for the skinny kid watching a boxer dance around the ring with sublime ease. Armstrong Williams. 52. I used to play sports. Then I realized you can buy trophies. Now I am good at everything. Dimitri Martin. 53. Unfortunately, the world is what it is now. People don't get along for whatever reason. As professional athletes, in a way, we're almost ambassadors for peace because sports brings everyone together. Venus Williams. 54. The things that people do now in sports, you can't even believe. These are complete, total athletes. To see what human beings can do in the highest level is amazing. Billy Joe Armstrong. 55. In most sports, your brain and your body will cooperate. But in rock climbing, it is the other way around. Your brain doesn't see the point in climbing upwards. Your brain will tell you to keep as low as possible, to cling to the wall and not get any higher. You have to have your brain persuading your body to do the right movements. Joe Nesbo. 56. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. Les Brown. 57. There may be people that have more talent than you, but there's no excuse for anyone to work harder than you do. Derek Jeter. 58. Victory is having done your best. If you have done your best, you've won. Billy Bowerman. 59. Age is no barrier. It's a limitation you put on your mind. Jackie Joyner Kersey. 60. Somewhere behind the athlete you've become and the hours of practice and the coaches who have pushed you is a little girl who fell in love with the game and never looked back. Play for her. Mia Hamm. 61. Hard days are the best because that's when champions are made. Gabby Douglas. Chapter 4. Separating personal lives from performance. When you want to achieve the results you long for, it is important to keep the following in mind. Just because a sports player's personal life isn't something you want to emulate, doesn't mean you cannot learn from his or her sports performance. Sometimes we forget this. We look at an athlete and then see him on the news, trying to justify that he cheated on his wife, wasted millions of dollars on useless junk, or say something mean against his ex-girlfriend he refuses to pay alimony to. Some female athletes are straight-up arrogant. Some boxers are just big bullies. And some soccer players spend more time in front of the mirror to admire themselves than helping and assisting others who need them. There are those who are selfish when it comes to spending money, those who file for bankruptcy while they have a millions of dollars per year contract, and those who cheat, lie, use drugs, smuggle drugs, do illegal things, have been in prison, have had 30 failed relationships, or say stupid things like, "I am just a man." Some sports players are full of tattoos and piercings and are, in my opinion, overdoing all of that. Some have a ridiculous attitude. Others are rude to fans or competitors. And others get so full of themselves that they wouldn't even talk to you if you said hi. There are sports narcissists, criminals, thieves, abusers, and cheaters. How can you emulate any of that behavior? You shouldn't. However, and this is where people often go wrong, this shouldn't stand in your way of emulating their sports behavior. These people may have failed in life when it comes to finances, relationships, or public conduct, but they have succeeded in tremendous ways in the sports area. And just because you copy the way they train, work on their skill set, and improve themselves, doesn't mean you have to copy any of the inappropriate behavior you may have heard on the news. I like art, for example, and I have followed some artists that I think are the best ones. I have seen their works and saved some of their pictures and drawings on my computer, completely admiring what they did. However, some of those artists drew sexually explicit images as well, something I am against. Now, does that mean I have to forget about these people entirely? Of course not. I can still admire the pieces of art that don't have that kind of provoking content while ignoring the rest. Don't make the mistake of ignoring the role models in sports. You can learn from them. But don't make the mistake of mimicking their behavior in other aspects in life either. Just because they get a home run or a lot of three-pointers or goals doesn't mean you should get the same tattoo, talk the same way, or get into trouble with the same kinds of people. That is nonsense. In the next chapter, I will show some examples of sports excellence. But not all of these people were good examples in their relationships or personal lives. I am asking you to ignore that fact and purely look at their athletic performance for inspiration. Chapter 5. Professional Examples of Excellence. It's always good to have role models, so let's look at some of these professional sports players who have taken their skills to the next level. Bethany Hamilton. This girl grew up in Hawaii, and she was already surfing at the age of 7. However, in 2003, a shark bit off her left arm. During her recovery, she made 2 promises to herself. First, she would not complain about her hardships. Second, she would get back into surfing, despite her missing arm. It took her only 26 days to recover enough to surf again. As of now, she is ranked as among the top 50 female surfers in the world. She also won first prize in the Explorer Women's Division of the NSSA National Championships. Her disability was not easy. Actually, she mentioned how frustrating it was to surf with one arm, and you can imagine that her balance was off. Her fear of the water had to be overcome, and they even made a movie about her called Soul Surfer. She has become a role model for young amputees and an inspiration for girls with amputations through her charity called the Friends of Bethany. One of the things that she likes to say is, "Courage doesn't mean you are not afraid. Courage means you don't let your fear stop you." Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is seen as the greatest Olympian swimmer of all time. Everyone thought that no swimmer would be able to win 8 gold medals in just one Olympic Games. Michael did just that, and he has 19 Olympic medals, 15 of which are gold. The trouble was, and everyone predicted that this was going to be a major problem, that he was diagnosed with ADHD. Those who have ADHD often face restlessness and a lack of attention. But what people didn't realize at the time is that ADHD can also help you stay hyper-focused on one specific activity you are passionate about. This is what helped Michael Phelps perform the way he did. He used his quirks to his advantage and turned them into strengths. With his focus on success in swimming, he has shown the world that something deviating from a normal or average mind can be something extraordinary. Phelps has shown that he can beat the most disciplined and strongest swimmers in the world and is an inspiring role model for those with disorders. He mentioned that once you are passionate about something, there are no limits to your success. "Nothing can stop you," he said. "Nobody's going to put a limit on what I'm doing. I'm going to do what I want to do, when I want to do it. That is how I have always worked. If I want something, I am going to go and get it." Kieran Behan. He was told he would never walk again. This is what physicians told Kieran after they removed a cancerous tumor from his thigh when he was only 10 years old. Surgery was a failure, and he woke up screaming in pain from massive nerve damage. Up to that point, he had been fond of gymnastics and had decided to become an Olympic champion. Now he was confined to a wheelchair, and he could never walk again. Opportunity gone. Say goodbye to your dreams, buddy. But Kieran wasn't done yet. After a recovery of about 15 months in a wheelchair, he was back in the gym, training with a determined mind. After several months, he slipped from the high bar and got an awful head injury. His injury was so severe that he faced regular blackouts when he blinked. He had to skip a year of school, but he still wanted to become a gymnast. As if the wheelchair hadn't been bad enough, this injury was taking the best of him. He had to retrain his brain and get back his coordination. He went back to school using a walking stick and was cruelly taunted by the other students in his class. It took him 3 years of hard training to get back at the same gymnast level as before the accident, but he suffered some fractures. Then another blow came when his knee snapped just after he had been selected for the European Championships. Behan has said that this was when he was about to give up. Eventually, after not giving up, he became the Challenge World Cup champion in 2011. In the London 2012 Olympics, he got accepted and competed for the top. The setbacks, the injuries, and the terrible surgery were not enough to stop this guy from becoming an Olympian. Michael Jordan. Almost everyone knows Michael Jordan. He has received a lot of Hall of Fame awards, Most Valuable Player awards, championship rings, and more. When people think of basketball, they usually think of him, even though there are many great players out there. Michael Jordan says his success is rooted in the many failures he has had to face because he has claimed they made him try even harder. They did not discourage him. When he was young, he was not even considered to be accepted into the local basketball teams, and they didn't think he had enough talent. He was cut from the high school basketball team. He counted his failures. They include 300 lost games, missing the game winner for at least 26 times. This is what he says. "I know that fear is an obstacle for some people, but for me, it is just an illusion. Failure always makes me try harder on the next opportunity." Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali has been seen as one of the best boxers of all time, if not the best. He has won many awards like the Golden Glove and an Olympic gold medal at the 1960 Games in Rome. His career has been inspiring to many people. After retiring from the boxing game, he spent his life and time on philanthropy and charities, especially the ones that were somehow connected to Parkinson's disease, from which he suffered himself. Muhammad Ali knew how to take risks. From the early age of 12, when someone stole his bike, he was determined to take on any future thieves so he could get better at fighting. He didn't shy away from danger, and that was what made him stronger. A lot of boxers don't want to take a lot of risks because they could possibly get injured or damaged. Their perfectionism leads to being too careful, and they fail to take the matches into their own hands. Muhammad, however, did the opposite. He put his health on the line so many times that he couldn't count them. He was not afraid, something you definitely need when picking a fight. In his words, "He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life." Chapter 6. More Underdog Stories. If you didn't think these were enough, then here are some more stories of athletes who had to start from scratch, who turned their failures into successes and beat the tough times in life to make something happen. Diego Maradona. This Argentinian soccer football player achieved greatness in his career and will still be remembered forever. Some fans regard him as the best soccer player of all time. He played in Barcelona and Napoli, among others, two major European teams. Maradona's vision, passing, ball control, dribbling skills, speed, reflexes, and reaction time was combined with his small size, 1.65 meters, or 5 foot 5 inches tall, giving him a low center of gravity, which allowed him to be more maneuverable than most other football players. He would often dribble past multiple opposing players on a run. He had a lot of talent, and he was sometimes given the nickname, the Golden Boy. Maradona played in 4 FIFA World Cups, encompassing staying in the field for 16 years and winning the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. After his career, he became a coach for the Argentina team in November 2008. He was also in charge of the team in the 2010 South Africa World Cup and coached a team in Dubai. Francisco Cornejo, the youth coach who discovered Maradona's talent, said, "When Diego came to Argentinos Juniors for trials, I was really struck by his talent and couldn't believe he was only 8 years old. In fact, we asked him for his ID card so we could check it, but he told us he didn't have it on him. We were sure he was having us on because, although he had the physique of a child, he played like an adult. When we discovered he'd been telling us the truth, we decided to devote ourselves purely to him." Diego Armando Maradona was raised in Villa Fiorito, a shanty town in the southern suburbs of Buenos Aires. His family was poor, and he had to work in a factory as a kid. When the scout discovered him at a neighborhood game, he began to play for local teams, and eventually for better-known teams. One of 6 children in a poor family, he says in his autobiography that his father never allowed him to go without a meal, but that he had to work in a factory from 4 a.m. each day to do so. Maradona is one of those sports players who actually did have trouble with drugs, financial stability, and family-related issues. Many have said that his personal life should not be emulated. However, if you can separate that from his determination and his drive on the field, and get inspired by his outstanding performance, then this underdog story is one not to be forgotten. Jeremy Lin. NBA fans will always remember Linsanity, the time when an unknown point guard named Jeremy Lin took the New York Knicks on a journey of excellence in the year of 2012. Lin was the big hype in the NBA for some time. Even superstars like LeBron James and others were put into the background as Lin showed off his best moves in the Madison Square Garden. Eventually, he ended up playing for the Houston Rockets. Jeremy's family wasn't always happy about his choice, but they accepted his basketball passion nonetheless. He grew up near Los Angeles, California. Shirley, his mother, helped form a national junior basketball program in Palo Alto where Lin played. She worked with coaches to ensure his playing did not affect academics. She was criticized by her friends for letting Lin play so much basketball, but let him play the game he enjoyed. Josh Hamilton. Los Angeles Angels outfielder Josh Hamilton has one of the most amazing backgrounds in all of sports. This baseball player knew no fear. His determination is an example to all of us. Hamilton was once seen as one of the best young players in the country when he was working his way through the Tampa Bay Rays farm system. He was the number 1 overall pick in the 1999 MLB draft. It all went downhill for the Angels slugger not too long after that. He got into trouble with drugs and alcohol, and both his baseball career and personal life took a big step backwards. Mike DiGiovanna of the Los Angeles Times wrote about his struggle and journey from hell to sobriety. And yes, you might blame him for this, but the extraordinary part is that he climbed out of this bad time. He would eventually turn his career around with the Texas Rangers before signing a colossal deal worth $125 million to play for the Angels in 2012. It's been a tough road for Hamilton that hasn't let up. Hopefully, he can do everything in his power to stay on the straight and narrow. Michael Orr. Maybe this guy is one of the most famous underdog stories out there. The Tennessee Titans tackle's life was documented in the 2009 film The Blind Side. Orr was adopted by Leanne Toohey and her family after a difficult childhood. He grew up to play at Ole Miss, and in the end, he became a first-round pick during the NFL draft in 2009. Now he has a Super Bowl ring, a hefty contract, courtesy of the Titans, and a film under his belt. Orr's life didn't have an easy start. His mother was an alcoholic and crack cocaine addict, and his father was in prison a lot. Because of the lack of parenting, he did not get much attention and education in his childhood. He repeated both first and second grades and attended 11 different schools during his first 9 years as a student. He was placed in foster care at age 7 and alternated between living in various foster homes and periods of homelessness. His story will now be remembered well after his playing career is over, especially after the many impressive results in his American football career. Chapter 7. The Invisible Crowd. When you go running, or when you work out or train by yourself, there is an invisible crowd. You cannot see it or hear it in a physical sense. You cannot rely on it being scientifically proven. It is not just make-believe. This crowd is real. Let me explain. Development of your character. First of all, the invisible crowd that is cheering you on is yourself. You gain confidence as you sacrifice your energy to get into shape. After more training and practicing, you will be able to hear the voice inside your head telling you that you are doing well. This confirmation gives peace of mind and boosts your self-esteem. You are developing your resistance to laziness and giving in to temptation. You are not just getting stronger physically, but mentally as well. This is you, your own crowd, the many versions of you that exist. By that, I don't mean that you have a split personality, but each person behaves differently in different situations and among various people. You will always adapt your words and actions to where and with whom you are. Therefore, in a way, there are many different versions of you. But the point is that all these versions will come together and cheer you on when you persevere through a tough training or take the initiative to work out when nobody is looking. In the secret corners of the world, that's where real battles are won. For each time you score in the field or the court, you have practiced that same move hundreds of times on a lonely spot when everyone was leaving or when nobody was there to give you an immediate reward. At those moments, you will get better at cheering yourself on when you repeat those actions more often. Voices of the past. I remember one of our coaches one time told us to lie down on our backs on the floor and envision one of the best moments from the past. Picture a moment when you did one of your best moves, when everyone was impressed, when you made a major comeback, or when someone complimented you on your performance. Now keep that picture in mind and begin the game with full confidence. We've all had good days and bad days. The best thing is to remember the good days. There were moments in everyone's lives when they impressed another with their skills. Think of those moments. Just because they are in the past and the crowd went home doesn't mean they wouldn't cheer you on if they happen to be there with you now. They are still impressed by that one moment, and the only barrier between those lonely moments and that one moment that someone was looking is time. Just because nobody is watching anymore doesn't mean that they wouldn't if they just knew about it, had the time to come, or were specifically interested in your kind of sport. Don't lose the good memories and use them as fuel to push you forward. The future. You're training, you're doing it, and it's hard. And perhaps you wonder, who cares? Nobody is watching. I get nothing out of this. Well, maybe nobody is watching now, but they will be. When you work on your abs, sometime a young lady might come along and admire your torso. She hasn't been watching all those times you worked so hard, but eventually she does. When you practice your basketball shot or your baseball swing, your rugby moves or your tennis skills, nobody is watching. But when the time comes that you actually will find yourself in a match, all those skills will come back to you. Your talent remains, and it shows in the results. Keep the future in mind. People will cheer for you when they see how far you've come. Again, the only barrier is time. A higher power. Now, I don't know if you believe in God, Allah, the universe, or some other higher entity. I don't know if you believe in karma, coincidence, fate, destiny, or an eternal plan. But one thing is certain. There are consequences to everything. The world is just that way. If you train, you become better. It's that simple. If you give, you usually feel happier and or receive back. The infinite laws cannot be broken. Use this to help you progress. Believe in something or someone who looks down at you with an approving wink and a thumbs up when you do something difficult to gain something better in the long run. If you do this, you will have more success and feel that God, Allah, the universe, or something, or someone else is on your side. And that eliminates loneliness and purposelessness, two things we, as humans, so often erroneously feel and impose on ourselves without thinking about the bigger picture. Hopefully these thoughts, quotes, and examples have encouraged you to make the most out of your life and your sports skills, even if you won't make money with them or become famous with them. Becoming a true athlete who is in good shape is a matter of honor and self-respect. You don't need people, TV screens, or finances to confirm that you've done well. You will know it in your heart, and it's something to hold on to for the rest of your life. Thanks again for buying my book. If you have a minute, please leave a positive review. I take reviews seriously and always look at them. This way you are helping me provide you better content that you will love in the future. A review doesn't have to be long, just 1 or 2 sentences and a number of stars you find appropriate. Hopefully 5, of course. Also, if I think your review is useful, I will mark it as helpful. This will help you become more known on Amazon as a decent reviewer and will ensure that more authors will contact you with free ebooks in the future. This is how we can help each other. This has been Mind Gym, Sports Quotes and Stories of Self-Discipline, written by Vance Avery, narrated by Sam Slidell. Copyright 2017 by Vance Avery. Production copyright 2017 by Vance Avery.